Well, the U.S. provides more than $3 billion in annual financial aid each year to Egypt, mostly for the Egyptian military. One senator, Senator John McCain, says we should threaten to cut it off if President Morsi doesn't roll back his recent power grab. To discuss how realistic that may be, Dr. Shibley Telhami joins us. He's a professor at the University of Maryland and a senior fellow at the Brookings Institute. Doctor, good morning.
Good morning to you.
First off, I want to get your reaction to this clip from Senator John McCain yesterday.
We thank Mr. Morsi for his efforts in brokering a ceasefire, which, by the way, is incredibly fragile. But this is not acceptable. This is not what the United States of American taxpayers expect, and our dollars will be directly related to the progress towards democracy, which you promised the people of Egypt when your party and you were elected president.
Doctor, should we cut off aid to Egypt?
Well, first of all, the critique obviously is a reasonable critique. I mean, it's not only coming from McCain and Congress, it's also coming from the administration, and it's coming from the mainstream here in the U.S. Everybody is angry with what Morsi has done. The foreign aid issue is far more complicated, and its utility is very limited. In part, start with the public. And the American public isn't so much hot on foreign aid. I've done polls on this here. And the Egyptian public doesn't really see all that much benefit. They think the U.S. is using it as a tactic to influence Egypt. So it's mostly institutional aid, primarily military to military. So its ability to influence events is limited. I think the more likely link is with the IMF loan. You have a $4.8 billion that have been agreed by the IMF as a loan to Egypt. They're already insinuating that this could be on hold until this is all resolved. Morsi is meeting today with the Judicial Council and his Justice Minister, saying that maybe they're close to an agreement. We'll see. But it is very important, though, to go over what you've just covered from Cairo. There are three issues going on here, and you don't want to make America the central feature. The Egyptians are moving in a direction of resolving this. The public has been mobilized. The opposition has been mobilized. But there are three things going on at the same time. One thing is Morsi certainly doesn't trust the judiciary. And there's some reason why. I mean, they basically called off the parliament after the Muslim Brotherhood won. They've disqualified the first Muslim Brotherhood candidate for the presidency. They're insinuating that they could dissolve the Constitutional Committee. So he doesn't trust them. But the rest of the opposition don't trust him because they see that the Muslim Brotherhood has a history of every time it acquires a little power, it tries to get more. What happened is initially they said they're not going to field a presidential candidate. They did so well in the parliament that the next day they essentially decided to field a presidential candidate. When Morsi got elected, he had a crisis in Sinai. He acted forcefully. The public rallied behind him. He used that the next morning to get rid of his defense minister. Here, he got a lot of support from the Egyptian public and even the opposition and the international community over his handling of the Gaza crisis. Okay. The next morning, he acts to consolidate more power. So the opposition doesn't trust him either.
Doctor, what happens?
The divisions, obviously, people are going to exploit this because Egypt is a divided country. We have to understand that.
Doctor, what happens, just briefly, we don't have a lot of time, but what happens if the opposition isn't able to stop the Islamists' takeover of the government? If in fact we have a government that isn't moderate, that is highly Islamist, very conservative, what reaction should America have to that? We have to understand what the Arab uprisings are about. There's an empowered public that is going to assert itself on decisions that go against its interest. And I think what we've seen in the streets of Cairo of late are demonstration of that, the galvanization of the opposition. So I doubt that this is going to get to that point. Remember, Morsi won a very thin victory in a divided Egypt, and there's a lot of opposition in Egypt. So there are people who are hinting at a military intervention. I hope not. That would take Egypt backward. But there are some people who believe that, and the U.S. may be caught in the middle if, in fact, that takes place. Okay. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.